Yeah, once again, welcome back to the one more class, 1 more hour for the remaining two. Now, what we discussed the previous hour is regarding the properties of steam, how to take the properties of steam from the steam tables. Okay, right? So already I explained about what is liquid, what is vapor, what is liquid plus vapor, then how to take the liquid enthalpy, how to take the wet enthalpy, and how to take the dry. G indicates dry, F indicates fluid, FG is in between wet region. Now 5 to 6, what you see here is the superheated region. Okay. Now I'll tell you in this particular lecture how to take the properties of superheated steam. Then we'll discuss the basic vapor cycle. Okay. Right. Now this and all we have discussed already. Now this you see here, yeah, total enthalpy of superheated steam. So which is actually given as like HF, F is fluid, HG, H vapor. Similarly, HSUP, SUP indicates superheated, superheated steam, superheated steam's enthalpy. So what and all I require for this particular property of superheated steam is I must know or I must be given in the problem what is the specific heat of superheated steam, that is CPS. Then temperature of formation, that is saturation. So 100 degrees is given, no, that is called as saturation temperature or formation of temperature. And he has to give what is superheated temperature. As I said, 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, all these things are called as superheated temperature. So that's called as temperature of superheat. In that case, how to find out the enthalpy of superheated steam is, so that is, see here, enthalpy of superheated steam, come to the last line, that is Hg. Already know up to Hg is vapor. Okay, so Hg I know, so Hg plus CPS, that will be given in the problem. So 2.1 for a steam, kilojoules per kg Kelvin. So specific heat of steam into T superheated. Assume that, and it's a minus, it's a minus. So T superheated minus T saturated. So assume that they have given the superheated temperature as 150 degrees centigrade. And what is the saturation temperature? 100 degrees centigrade. Now, what is the difference here? 150 minus 100. So that is called as 50 degrees centigrade. And this is given in the problem. This is available from the steam tables. So when just add all these things, I'll get what is known as enthalpy of superheated steam. Okay. So if it's this is a superheated steam. Suppose sometimes you have straight away superheated steam tables. Superheated steam tables. So just I'll show you. So you have superheated steam tables uh, like this. Yeah. Now you see here in this particular so here, so you have a table separately which indicates in your steam tables properties of superheated steam straight away. So if I have given 150 degrees is the temperature, superheated temperature as 150 degrees, straight away from the steam tables also I can find out like this. Okay, so here you can see superheated temperature of 50, 75, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350. All these things are superheated temperatures. So the T superheated is there, no? That is a 350 if you assume. So I can find out the values like this if I know what is the pressure. If I know what is the pressure. Okay. I hope you understood what is the how I can take. Or if you are confusing with superheated steam like this, then simply go for the formula what I mentioned, that is like this, given what is specific heat of superheated steam. So I hope you understood, right? Now, yeah. Now just see, this is a superheated steam if I say. Now, this is specific volume of wet. Okay, now this is how I can calculate specific volume of superheated steam. Similarly, you can calculate entropy also. So here, see here, what is the variation you will get superheated steam, because the superheated vapor or steam occupies very high volume. So I must know what is the superheated temperature in absolute. I said 150, no? So at 150 plus 273 by what is saturation temperature? 100. 100 plus 273. So that 150 plus 273 by 100 plus 273 into Vg is from steam tables. There's a volume of vapor. So I can find out whenever it's a superheated condition, what is the vapor, what is the specific volume of superheated vapor. So like this, I can find out the properties of superheated steam. Okay, so hope you understood what is exactly and how to take the properties from the steam tables, including from the fluid values as well as wet, dry saturated, and finally superheated. Okay, now we'll go for the first thing, that is, yeah, that's a basic Rankine cycle. Okay, now just see from here your exact problem start, right? Now observe this particular diagram here, and prior to this Rankine cycle, you have Carnot cycle. You have Carnot cycle. So that Carnot cycle, I'll be discuss. Actually, I have to discuss that thing first, because what happens? The Carnot cycle is the first cycle which is designed by the Carnot. Okay, and which indicates the operation of the steam power cycle. But that is, Carnot cycle is modified by Rankine, and he has given a simple ideal. I think it's ideal Rankine cycle, because still we have some more improvements for the simple Rankine cycle. Okay, right? Now you just observe this schematic on the left side, and similarly temperature entropy diagram on right side. Temperature entropy diagram on right side. So what is Rankine cycle, right? So it have four parts. As I mentioned in the schematic, I must concentrate on four devices, that is boiler, turbine, condenser, feed pump. So can you able to see here? As I said, or explained previous lecture also, this is heat input and this is heat output. This is work input and work output. So work pump in, I am giving work to the pump to handle the feed water, and I am getting the work from the turbine as a mechanical energy. Okay, so these are the four operations what is going to happen in a Rankine cycle. So this is a continuous process. Okay, so we just see here 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 1. These are the four processes. Okay, so let me start with the 3 to 4. So at 3, if you assume after the boiler, let me just first explain the working, then I'll go for the cycle here. Okay, so what happens first, in the boiler there is some water which is actually given by the pump here. Now you are giving some heat input, that water will be converting into steam here, and at 3 it is having high pressure, high temperature steam, which is going to expand from 3 to 4, 3 to 4 in a device called as turbine. And this is expansion device, obviously, which produces mechanical work. So 3 to 4 is expansion and it will produce the mechanical work. Now, after the 3 to 4, the entire steam has given the energy to the turbine, and whatever the left out steam will just goes to the condenser, and condenser is one where it will receive the cooling water in the opposite direction, and that cooling water takes the heat from the left out hot or steam here. Okay, and that left out steam will be converted into hot water, and it's ready for pumping. Okay, and that heat is given to the cool water which is going to the cooling tower. Okay, so that is the heat output. Now after that, from 4 to 1 is nothing but your heat output. 4 to 1 is heat output. Then what to 1 to 2, you are giving some energy for the pump, or you are giving some work for the pump to supply or to pump the water from this 1 to 2. That is a pumping, this is a work. And what is 2 to 3? Again, it's a heat supply. So 2 to 3 is heat supplied, and 3 to 4 is expansion, work output, and 4 to 1 is heat rejection, and 1 to 2 is again work input. Okay, and similarly, you just see here. Now, if I go for 1 to 2 now in a pump, so where is the process 1 to 2? 1 to 2 is isentropic compression of water in a pump. Now, you see this diagram here. This left-hand side will be exactly on the liquid side, and the right-hand side will be on the what you called as dry side or dry line. You see here the dry line. Okay, so this is the uh, temperature entropy diagram. Now what happens, you see here, first I start with the work input. So 1 to 2 is the pump work. 1 to 2 is the pump work. Okay, that is isentropic compression. Process is isentropic process. Now from 2 to 3 is the heat addition, which is at constant pressure. You see here, 2 to 3, the line is the pressure line. So 2 to 3 is constant pressure heat addition in a boiler. Okay. Now after that, once you got the 3, it has to expand to 4. So 3 to 4 is expansion in the turbine. So 3 to 4 again it's isentropic expansion in a turbine. And finally 4 to 1 is condensation, or you will be rejecting heat in a condenser, that is 4 to 1. That's a heat output. Okay. Now you see here what and all properties I can straight away determine from the steam tables. Now I can determine the property at 1 because it is on the liquid line. I can't determine the property 2. I can't determine the property 3, which is at the superheated region, because we'll assume that steam which is entering the turbine is superheated state. Then 4 also you can see here, from 3 it loses heat here like this and reaches to the not dry point. It again gone to the 4, and where is 4? You can see here, it is in the wet region. It is in the wet region. So 4 is in wet region. So from 3 as a superheated steam, it just comes, and before the condenser, it is like a wet steam, and in the condenser the heat will be taken out, and 4 to 1 is the heat rejection. 4 to 1 is the heat rejection, and 1 you have water available in hot condition, pump it back to the boiler, and from 2 to 3 you are giving the heat supply from the coal energy, then 3 to 4 expansion, like that the cycle continues. Okay, right? So hope you understood. Now what is important here is, what is efficiency of a Rankine cycle? Now can you guess what is the efficiency here? Normally efficiency is nothing but how much is the work done by heat supplied. Okay, so how much is the net work by heat supplied? That is network by heat supplied. Okay, now what happens here? You can see how much is the work network, because work output is 3 to 4. What is work input? 1 to 2. Okay, so what is the network here? That is work output minus work input is the network. That is the numerator. And what is the heat supplied? That is from 2 to 3 is the heat supplied in the boiler. So if you just keep the work output by heat supplied, it is called as your efficiency of a Rankine cycle. Okay, so we'll see it. Now see here. Okay, so just go for yeah. Now if you just go for heat input, so 2 to 3 the process goes. That is called as heat input. So it is given by, in terms of enthalpies, the what is the amount of heat input is H3 minus H2. That is the amount of heat input. Okay, just see. So H3, so 3 processes here, 2 processes here. Okay, so the H3 minus H2 is amount of heat input. Okay, now what is heat output? Rejection, H4 minus H1. That's the amount of heat output in condenser. And what is the turbine work? Turbine work. You see here, what is the output from the turbine? What is the output from the turbine? So 3 to 4 is the process. Obviously H3 minus H4. So H3 is H3 and H4 is the 4 process. So 3 to 4 is expansion process. And if I take H3 minus H4, it is the work output from the turbine, right? So H3 minus H4 is the work output. Now, what is thermal efficiency or Rankine cycle efficiency is, as I said, net work by heat input or heat supplied. Heat input or heat supplied. Okay. Now, I can just take the network as turbine work minus pump work. So turbine work is H3 minus H2, H3 minus H4, and pump work is H1 minus H2, H1 minus H2. You see here, what is the pump work? So H1, 1 to 2 is the process. So H2 is the, sorry, H2 minus H1 because 2 is higher side. So H2 minus H1 is the amount of work I have given in the pump. So turbine work minus pump work, that's the net work. And obviously heat supplied is H3 minus H2. And finally, yes, yeah. So what is the, now just take 1 minute. Yeah. Now just see here, what is the efficiency formula? You just see here. Now the denominator is heat supplied, that is H3 minus H2. Then network is how much? You have H3 minus H4 is your, yeah, minus H4 is, yeah, that is nothing but your turbine work. Okay, turbine work, right? Minus pump work. Pump work. Okay. So if you just take this, okay. So pump work, what is the value for pump work now? So it is nothing but, so pump work is given by H2 minus H1. So finally, what is the value for pump work is? Pump work is how much here? Pump work is, yes, it is H2 minus H1. Okay. Now finally, you can see what is the efficiency formula? H3 minus H4 minus H2 minus H1 by H3 minus H2. So that gives you the efficiency of Rankine cycle. Efficiency of Rankine cycle. Okay. Now, so all the thing is, first I had to determine what is known as the enthalpies. Straight away I can find out. So all the things is, yeah. So what is the final thing is H3 minus H4 minus H2 minus H1. That's the pump work by H3 minus H2 is your heat input. So that is your efficiency formula. Okay. Now what and all I can determine easily. Yes. So I can't determine H3 value straight away unless if I know what is superheated enthalpy. So how can determine superheated enthalpy? I must be given what is the temperature here. Then obviously temperature here. Yeah, then only I can determine. So saturation temperature he has to give in the problem. He also has to give what is the superheated temperature. Then I can find out what is H3, that is enthalpy of superheated steam at 3. And what is 4 here? So it is H wet, H wet. So obviously I must be supplied a parameter. How much is the dryness fraction? Assume that the dryness fraction given is something like a 0.95. Then what is the value of H4 now? What is the at this particular, so there are two pressures you can see. One is called as boiler pressure, because this is 2 to 3 is boiler pressure line, and 1 to 4 is condenser pressure. So boiler pressure, condenser pressure, there are only two pressure lines which are parallel here. So 4 to 1. So what happened in this particular condition, I want what is H4, it is H wet. How to find H wet? What is the enthalpy HF at this pressure plus X. X is nothing but dryness fraction into what is the HFG. HFG you can find out at this pressure what is the amount of latent heat. If you just keep these values, I can find out what is the enthalpy of wet steam at 4. Now I know what is H3, I know what is H4. So the turbine work is over. Now I'll go for what is 1. So because 1 is, I can use it straight away, I can find out, because at condenser pressure line, what is HF? I can straight out from the steam tables, I can find out straight away. So that is H1. So only thing is what is H2. Only thing is what is H2. So that I have to determine by means of some relation. Okay, because here it will be like a one, you have some volume of water and it will be compressed by means of a pump and to the volume of water like this. So what happens? Volume will be same, pressure will be a little bit increasing. So what happens now? What I'll do for H2, what is the formula for the H2 here is, this is basically the pump work or PV work. That's the pressure and volume work. So what is the formula for this thing here is, now we'll assume that this is the 1 to 2 is isentropic process. 1 to 2 is isentropic process. Okay. Now I'll be determining H2 like this. Okay. So that is we'll take the help of PdV work. That's a pump work. Okay. So that is, what is the pressure difference, that is what is condenser pressure here now. Okay, and that's a P2 minus P1. So P2 is boiler pressure and P1 is condenser pressure. So and into what is the volume? Obviously it's a volume of water doesn't changes much. I'll be taking V1 maybe equal to V2. Okay, so that or V1 or V2 will just see how much is the difference. So that V2 minus V1 into P2 minus P1, P2 minus P1. So that particular value gives you what is known as, yes, the amount of enthalpy in particular 2. So if I know 2, I know 1, I know 3, I know 4, substitute all the values to get what is known as efficiency of Rankine cycle. Efficiency of Rankine cycle. Well, I hope you understood the concept here. Okay, so I'll explain it with a simple problem. Okay, so just see. Now, this is basically what I explained, is available in one of the textbooks for you. Now, this is basically your Rankine cycle. what I explained just now. Yeah. So theoretical cycle and condenser, heat output, heat input, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 to 1. Okay, slightly change in the what called as the parameters. He has taken 1 to 2 as the expansion process, 2 to 3 as the condensation or heat rejection, 3 to 4 is the pumping, and 4 to 1 is again it's a heat supply in the boiler. Okay, and similar thing if I represent, yes, in a TS diagram, yes, it's a given, yeah, like this. Now you see this particular diagram here. Let me just take on a highlighter. Yeah. Now you just see this diagram here. Now this is the temperature versus entropy. Now previous diagram gives you one double dash to two double dash. That is the steam which is coming is superheated and finally landing in the wet region. And what about one more 1 to 2? You're seeing one more line. Now what happens in this particular process? The expansion is completely in the wet region because at 1 it is dry because in the dry line. So it just starts with dry and completely the expansion will be inside the wet region. And what about 1 dash to 2 dash here? Everything happens in the wet region because it starts from 1 dash which is in wet condition and expands up to 2 dash in the turbine. And most of the times you see that you won't prefer 1 to 2, 1 dash to 2 dash, because if it's like a superheated, I'll take maximum amount of work for the expansion of the turbine, and finally it may be reaching to the wet state. Suppose the entire expansion, if it happens in the wet region, what will happen? There is possibility that while expanding, it loses its temperature, and that entire thing, water particles may damage the blades of a turbine. So obviously, you always keep the expansion or steam which is expanding in the turbine dry saturated or superheated only. Okay, so avoid wet expansion in the turbine to safeguard the blades of the turbine. Okay, so hope you understood here. So we have three models of problems. One is one expansion started from superheated going to the wet region. So starts from dry region, dry point 1 to wet, wet to wet. And obviously 1 to 2 turbine, 2 to 3 condensation, 3 to 4 is the pump work, and 4 to 1, 4 to 1 dash, 4 to 1 double dash is the heat supplied. Okay, so hope you understood what is the Rankine cycle process, and same thing I have mentioned here, and I'll give you the final. Yeah, this is the thing. Yeah. So turbine work minus pump work by heat supplied. That's the Rankine cycle efficiency. So 1 minus 2, that's the turbine. 4 minus 2, 4 minus 3 is the pump work. Obviously 1 to 4 is the heat supplied. So this is the basic Rankine cycle. And sometimes, most of the times, because the turbine work is very high compared to the pump work, it will be neglected, it will be given in the problem. If I neglect the pump work, then my expression will be, like this. Okay. Now see here, if I neglect the pump work, you have only H1 minus H2 by H1 minus HF4. HF4 means that 4 is in the liquid line. Okay, so that's how I can find out the Rankine cycle efficiency if I neglect the pump work. So I explained how to take 1, 2 as well as 1, 4. I think only thing is how to find out the process 3. So as per this particular problem, or as per your textbooks here, so it is given as, now see, this is the, yeah, let me just finish it off. So this is 3 to 4. So 3 I can find out easily. 2 by calculation, 1 dash by calculation, and 1 also I can find out. 2, 2 dash, 1 dash, everything by calculation. Only thing is in the liquid region 4, because you are taking the water and pumping it to 4 and just keeping in the boiler. So the 4 I have to find out. How to find out 4? So I have the formula how to find out. That is H4 minus H3 is equals to Okay, so let me just show you that so that I can finish it off. Now, how to take the yes pump work? Yeah, you just see this is in terms of pressure and volume. So how to find out HF4 minus HF3? I will little bit expanding this. Yeah, you see here H4 minus H3 is equals to, assume that the volume of water doesn't changes much. So I'll take V3, that's the volume of water I'm taking into the pump, and I'm compressing it from condenser pressure P1 to the boiler pressure P2. This is to convert the bar into joules. Okay, right? So HF4 minus HF3 equal to V3, or H4 minus H3 is equals to, both are water only. So V3 into P1 minus P2. So I know what is boiler pressure. I know what is the condenser pressure, and I only think volume will be found out VF3. I can find out from the steam tables, and I can find out what is HF3 also in the steam tables. Unknown is H4. I can find out H4, and finally I can find out the Rankine cycle efficiency. Okay. Now, what exactly we learned in this particular class here? So we have seen the entire thing, how to find out the properties of steam, as well as how to find out the volume, enthalpy, entropy of superheated steam. And finally, we have discussed about the simple or ideal Rankine cycle and four processes, that is the expansion, that is the turbine work, condensation, pump work, as well as the heat supplied in the boiler, and finally what is Rankine efficiency. So okay, so we'll see a problem maybe in the coming lectures. Okay, thank you.